Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I've got quite a good rack. No bingo here, or no 7 that I can see. I'm just considering the floaters to see if I may have an 8. Not looking promising. No, I can't see a play. I don't think Vex 8 is good. I'll just check that. I think it's just Vex, means the same thing. So, where can I play my X? I'm drawn to the I of faming because of XI. So I could play Tex. It does keep the V, which isn't great. But I can't see a good way of playing the V and the X, apart from possibly here. So that's 31. That's 10 more points. Wow. Is AEST 10 points better than AESV? Gosh, I think it's going to be close. I'm getting rid of the V. Seat is a really good 4-letter set. So Vex for 31. I have Tawnies. I'm not sure if Famings is good. It's not. So I don't think I have anywhere for Tawnies right now. Axe only takes an E. But do I have anything through I, N or G? Can't see anything with the I. N doesn't look promising, and G even less so. Through an R, I would have Sternway. And you see, if I'd kept a V instead of the T, I would have the VWY triplicate, which would be really unpromising. Of course, one sample rack isn't remotely conclusive, but it's just an observation. Nothing goes in front of Vex. So if I can't play Tawnies, is there a way of playing off the W and the Y? Well, I've got WEY, exactly where my opponent's played. But look at this. He's now created a spot for Tawnies. Heroize takes an S. So Tawnies for 83. Not bad. Fairly balanced. No duplicates. I've got the out prefix. I've got auto as a prefix. I don't think auto leak is good. So what about the floaters? Outwalk, not a bingo. With my rack. So I can't see a bingo with this rack. There may not be one. I've got nice play by my opponent. One of the rare words with no vowels. So Axel is good and RE is good. So I've got LEU in that spot. 32 points, gets rid of the U, which is good, keeps the K for score. Okay, so that's worth considering. Now, what about a play in column 8? My K goes well with the C. So do I have a play ending CK? Not that I can see. Kruth takes an S at the end. Do I have anything across from the E? No, can't see anything. What about down from the I? No, so LEU looking increasingly good. It's also taking out quite a hot spot since Axe does take a D and an S after it. 32 points is good, and the vowels A and O do go well with the K. So Liu for 32. Not too bad. I have a slender lead at the moment, but this is a good scoring rack. I've still got the K for going after the C. So I have track and possibly trock for over 30 points, which is good. Opponent takes that out. So, do I have any good plays through the tiles of Avocet? I don't have a bingo, I'm fairly sure. I've got Jot and Jato. I've got Jake and Joke. That's looking a little better, the K bumping up the score. Do I have any big plays onto triple word squares? I've got nothing which goes after Liu. What about a play beginning E? No, not seeing anything. So I have Joke. It is setting up a pretty hot scoring spot underneath the O. But the X has been played, so that's not as dangerous as it could be. I'm fairly level with my opponent, so I quite like getting rid of the J and the K in order to keep only bingo-y tiles rather than scoring tiles. Can I do better than Joke? Koji would be good onto an I. Axel only takes an S. I've got Jiao, and Jiao and Jaw, but they don't take a K after it. So I'm going with Joke. Well, I was going to say pretty good, but it is all 1-pointers, so it's only pretty good if I have a bingo, otherwise I'm going to struggle. I'm looking at the A of Avocet as the obvious floater to consider with this rack. I don't think Attratent is good. Not seeing a bingo there. The third T really hampering this rack. Opponent creating a new bingo lane in column 3 and scoring 36 points, which was likely to be the main reason for his play. And he's got a 30-point lead. I still don't have a tile for going after Liu. I think it's just a D. Possibly an S. So this is a tricky rack. Nothing goes in front of JO. 14 minutes on my clock. If I play in column 12, I'll be taking out the S hook for Kruth. I will be creating a 7-letter lane. The real problem I have with this rack is scoring. So what about wrecking the rack? And this is one of the hardest sorts of rack to deal with, because if I just play off 2 T's, I'm leaving a really good 5-letter set, but I run the risk of drawing 2 more 1-point tiles which don't make a bingo, and then I'm in the same position. And the alternative to playing off 2 T's for about 10 points would be to play something a lot longer, scoring maybe 20 points, but completely wrecking the rack, and that's the position I'm in right now. And the play I'm considering is Tatter. 17 points, creating a new bingo lane, or 2 new bingo lanes, which I'd quite like to do, since although I'm neck and neck, I'm a tempo behind my opponent, which means every time we're about level, it's my opponent on turn, which means if it stays like that, opponent is favourite to win. So although we're close, it's in my interests to open the board up, and Tatter does that. It creates 2 new lanes, it leaves the Kruth hook available, it leaves the floaters in Avocet available, and column 3. So I hope I'm not missing a bingo here. Obviously that would be a lot better than this. But I think Attratent is the only candidate play, and I'm not even going to check that. I don't think it's good. So Tatter for, well, 3 N's left and only 1 T. Do I have a play in this spot which uses 2 T's and an N. I don't think so. Not good at all. Really not good. However, I have a vowel. Out does take an A at the end, but with only one vowel, I'm not going to have a good play in row M. I've got ag-har in column 8. Keeping M-double-N-P. Pretty grim. Well, I'd like to play off a lot of tiles with this rack. Can I do that? I can't see anything beginning with the E. Now I've got Fang on my rack. And Goof is good. Great, so I have got a pretty decent play in column 3. Which really does sort the rack out. Turning over 5 tiles, splitting up the duplicate N. Wow, still a lot of vowels to come. Look at all these I's. A's, E's, and O's. 39 tiles in the bag, so we're about 2/3 of the way through the game, or will be after my opponent's play. Tatter takes an S and a Y after it. At the moment, all I've got is Fang. I haven't got an alternative play if that's blocked. It's not. Fantastic. Now, 2 S's and a blank left. Opponent plays Zulu, which takes an S. He could be just sorting out a rack with a lot of U's, or he could have an S, or he could be doing both. In any event, Fang is still available. Do I have a good play through the U of Ulu, close to Sphagnum, although it wouldn't fit. Now I'm playing Fang, and my opponent's just played off 2 U's, and Fang takes a U in front. So, interesting. Now, Fang for 30. Okay, not bad. A much more attractive rack than the last one, which means I'm likely to have quite a few candidate moves. I can see immediately I've got Boom in column 4, parallel to Fang, and also in front of it. But I think after it, maybe slightly better. Doesn't open up column 1. I'm 4 points ahead. Wow, 30 points for Fang. That was a good score, given that I had no alternative plays. I no longer have an A for going after Out. Still 4 A's to come. Out just taking an A and an S. So at the moment, I've just got Boom in column 4. And that would be really nice if my opponent bingoes in column 15. It will give me a big comeback, and I'll only be half a bingo behind and not a whole one. Now, do I have a play across from the E of Tawneys? Maybe with the M doubled. Not that I can see. Now, is Bionome good? If it is, I have it. It doesn't play anywhere. Nope, it's not good. Great, I won't get my hopes up about my opponent providing a spot. Now, opponent scores 27 points and much more seriously steals my spot. Pie taking nothing in front. So that is irksome. 11 minutes on my clock. So I do have Boom underneath Tatter. Keeping EIN, not a great rack leave. And not a great score either. So what to do? Do I have anything through the U? What about a play in column 12? Well, I do have something here. I have for 22 points, which leaves a decent rack leave. It's a half decent score. Keeps me within striking distance of my opponent. And the rack leave's not bad, although there are quite a few I's to come. A play of Mooey would be better, M-O-O-I. Can't see anywhere for that. So I'm going with this. Great, I dodge the I's. Not such a great rack, however. I do have an S for going after Ulu, and probably more usefully for going after out. Bidden's not good. Do I have anything through the U? Can't see anything. Wow, opponent changes. Gosh. Is the tempo about to change? And I'm using that in its technical sense. Now, I have embed. Now, look at this. It's 30 points, which is good. The rack leave is good, especially with this floating E. It's keeping the board open. So, I'm going with this. Very bingo-y tiles, but also duplicates, so I may not have something here. I think Desi9 is good through the E, so I do have something if that stays available. Do I have anything ending in S? I don't think so. So, is my opponent about to bingo? No, he isn't. Great. He has scored 50 points, which is not so good. Does this C help me? I don't think so. So Desi9 for 72. Ouch, not good. That's a shame. Is there an anagram of this, of Desi9, which is good? It's likely to almost always a reason why one plays a phony, and it's usually confusing it with a word which is good. I think desinent, perhaps. So do I have anything through the D? Don't think so. Now I do have Dizen through the Z, so I can score a decent amount. Now, what about Sanidine? Sanidine is good. It doesn't get double. It scores about 50 points, and it burns the S. What about a play of Dizen? 38 points. Sanidine's got to be better. It does take an S, but I don't think that's hugely dangerous since Ulu is hampering access to this double letter square. So, Sanidine for 60. I draw the Q, not so good. And I've blocked one of the U's on the board. So I can't play QUEY, which would have been available. Now I do have an I. So are there any QI spots? Gosh, I'm not sure there is, but there is. Cat, G, and in. That will be setting up quite a hot spot in column 1, but maybe my opponent will be obstructing that anyway with his play. I've also got just QI above the I of faming, but that leaves duplicate I. Not so good. I don't absolutely have to play off the Q straight away, since the rest of the rack is pretty unpleasant. So if I could get a decent score, maybe 30 points for Yogi. Well, I've got Yogic. That would be quite good. And that would make the QI play the following turn a lot safer, in that it wouldn't allow access to the triple word square at H1. So 11 minutes on my opponent's clock. Wow, 1880. Very high rating. Just 8 minutes on my clock. And I've got such a small lead. And I think my opponent didn't change last turn. It was 2 turns before. But look at the remaining tiles. There's still a blank out there, quite possibly on my opponent's rack, and the rest of the tiles are pretty bingo-y. However, no S's left and no E's. But there are quite a few floaters on this board, especially the E of embed. And I'm not going to be doing anything to block that next turn. So if opponent bingos, he'll be in a strong position, especially if he bingos in column 1. If he doesn't bingo in column 1, I've got yogic. And I think it'll be close. I wonder if there were any alternative bingos to Sanidine. Now, do I have any other spots for Yogi? Well, okay. Opponent gets 67. He does have the blank. 2 tiles in the bag. He could have another bingo on his rack. Preluder takes an S, but no S's, no blanks to come, so that's safe. 8 minutes on my clock. Yogic is available. Let's see what that scores. That's 33 points, taking me to 368, 5 points in the lead. I've got the Q. And I've got the I, so I've got Chi and Chat. Chi and Cat. And I've also got Chi and Pi, so I'm not going to be stuck with the Q. Now look at this. I was thinking that this double letter square next to the E of Preluder was quite hot, but there are no E's left, so there can be no play in column 15. There can be no S on the end of Preluder. So maybe my opponent will struggle to score. Let's find out. Yogic for... I was just pausing in case I had an N for Sank, and I don't. Yogic for 33. That looks quite kind. Opponent's got 3 A's and 2 I's, and just the B for score. Now, he does have A's for making outer. So he's trailing by 5. I think if he can go out in 2, he's almost certain to win. I don't think Chi and Cat is going to score enough. Only 26 points. And then 8 on count back, so it's just a net of 18. And I'm 5 ahead. Opponent needs to score 24 points in 2 moves in order to win. I think he should be able to do that. And he's got 9 minutes to find the right sequence. So do I have any alternatives to Chi and Cat? I do. I have Caddy and Cade through the A of Zars. That's slightly better in 2 respects. It scores more, and it takes the D out, which is actually worth 4 in considering count back. So that is a better play. Opponent could play Ab. But if he does that, he won't be able to go out in 2. Whereas if he doesn't go out in 2, I'm sure I can go out in 2. After a play of Chi, I would have End on my rack. Ah, of course, I've got the E for going after R. That would have been of no use to me last turn. I do have Denai for 28 points, leaving just the Q. And then there are 2 spots for the Q, above the Eye of Faming and then next to the Eye of Denai. So that might be an option. It all depends on what my opponent does. I'll be able to see after his next move whether he is able to go out. So from my perspective, I don't think this is a difficult endgame. I've either got one move or 2. But from my opponent's perspective, he's got to score enough and guarantee an out in 2, and it's not super easy to see how he can do that. He's got ABBA, and then he's got Ilya on his rack. And that would play underneath ABBA. Okay, 18 for my opponent. He's got AIA. That does play in row N, and it also plays in column 15. It plays in a bunch of places. So I've got one move. And I think it has to be K'd. Yeah, I'm sure I have to play the Q. This is the best Q spot. It doesn't set anything amazing up for my opponent. It scores 28 points, so it's going to take me to 396, a lead of 15. I'll lose 4 on countback. Opponent needs 12 to win. He only gets 10 for Aya and Ab, 10 for Aya and R. He must have found somewhere. There must be somewhere for him, I would have thought. I'm not saying for sure. Well, I'm not immediately seeing where his winning out is, so let's find out. There's no point in me spending any more time on this move because I don't think there's a better spot for me for my Q. So, K'd for 28. Now, Caddy also playable in the same spots. I am giving my opponent Aida. That's only 10. I don't think that's enough. I was just checking to be sure that I have an out next turn if opponent doesn't go out, and I do. So, K'd for 28. Now, what's my opponent got? I'm 15 in the lead. He needs to score 12 to win. Can he do it? I'm looking around for moves for him. Well, he hasn't insta-played. AIA. Bailai, not good with a single L, otherwise Aria could have played. If he doesn't go out, well, I've got 5 minutes to find the best spot for EN, but I'm pretty sure I would win in that situation, given that I'm currently sitting on a 15-point lead. Does my opponent have a win? He's got 6 minutes to find it. AIA. At the moment, he can score 10 for Aya and Abba. That's the best he can do down the bottom. He's got Aya and Par for less. Wow, 11 is such a small target to draw. And AIA is usually quite a useful 3-letter word. Just 10 points for Aya and R. Wow. Ada was the best he could do for 10 points. And, okay, he's gone quite fast, but the final score, 395 to my opponent, 396 to me, a winning margin of 1 point. So a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, I was sure I wasn't going to win that. I wonder if my opponent did have a win. So, it was my opponent to go first. He played Faming. This was my rack, and I thought about Tex, and then went with Vex for 10 fewer points. But I do have a V aversion. Probably needlessly so, because if you have a lot of vowels, then the V can be quite handy. Opponent's rack. He has Heroise, which was a nice spot, but that gives me Tawnies. Wow, and it plays in 2 spots. D11. That's where I played it. And also K9. Ah, because of ST. Okay, well, this is the better spot. Opponent's rack plays Kruth. My rack. Now I play LEU for 32, keeping the K for score. I could have got 2 fewer points, jettisoning the K, but keeping the U. Probably not a huge amount between those. Opponent's rack plays Avoset. And now I have Joke for 30. Opponent plays Oof. Great, I was just waiting to see Atratent pop up. It doesn't. And I play Tatter. I'm still not convinced if that was the best move. It totally wrecks the rack and it only scores 17 points. Now look at this. This was my opponent's rack when he played Ulu. He wasn't hoarding an S. He was just sorting out the rack. And the rack lever Diet is a pretty good 4-letter set. My rack. And I've got Fang for 37, which is... Wow. I play Fang for 30. Where's Fang for 37? B11. Oh, wow. Making HUH, Al, and Nu. That would have been a better play, better score, and taking out that S spot. And, well, yeah, 7 more points. So I didn't see that. Oh, my poor opponent. Look, he had Diet, and he picked up double IE. Well, I think we've all been in that position. Pretty irksome. He plays Diet. And M8 Biome. Wow, running underneath Tatter, that's quite nice for 25. I play for 22, only 3 fewer points, and I think keeping a better rack lead Bine better than NO. Opponent's still struggling with eyes. I think I commented on the number of eyes, and I think I managed to dodge them. I never got into eye problems, but my opponent did, through no fault of his own. He changed. Wow! Missed bingo here. A4 disbanded through D and A. That would have been fantastic. Well done if you spotted that. What did I do? I did embed for 30. And keeping a rack lever of Dins, which is probably worth about 15 points. So I think I dropped about 20 points of equity there. But very difficult to see 9-letter plays through disconnected tiles. And I think part of the reason is that you just don't consider them. Maybe if I'd considered the D and the A, well, if you look at the component parts, the dis prefix and the ed ending, they're reasonable ones to consider. Now, opponent's rack. He plays Zars. Now I have Sanidine, nothing else available. Opponent's rack, that looks bingo-y. And he spent a while on this play. He played Preluder. He also has Repulsor available, 1 square lower down. And 5 more points. So this was the situation with 2 tiles in the bag. I trail by 28 points, and I've got the Q, G, Y, IIO, a pretty grim position. But I play Yogic for 35, and that is better than Oi for 35. Going into the end game, this is a more manageable rack than an extra Y and a G. The G not going well with the Q, so I think Yogic is best. And now we're into the end game. So opponent only looking to score 23 points and go out in 2, I think. Now, if he plays Ab... Oh, wow, look at this. If he plays Ab for 27, he's got Arlii on his rack. Wow. You can see it down here, Arlii. I wonder if he has a second spot for that. M6? Where's that? Yes, he does. Running underneath Tatter, so he has 2 spots for Arlii. I'm pretty sure that would win. And Labia M6 keeping AI... Well, look at the score. The score's already reached its target, and I'm sure there was more than 1 spot for AI. So I think my opponent nodded at the end there with Bale. I have Caddy and Cade for 28. Well, did he? Does he have a winning play with AIA? And he doesn't. 10 was all he could get. He needed 11 to draw and 12 to win, and he doesn't have it. So, absolutely fantastic game, and extra enjoyable, given that I wasn't meant to win at the end there. My opponent in the end game could have won with optimal play, and he didn't. But end play, optimal play is very difficult. I certainly struggle with it, but it's always nice when you're on the receiving end of a suboptimal play from your opponent. So I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.